Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a topic that's literally taken the internet by storm lately. We're talking about Seekho, India's absolute most talked about edtech and entertainment platform right now. Today, we're going to decode this entire story using hard data and facts. So stick with me, because this whole saga is just as fascinating as it is, well, shocking.
So how exactly did India's fastest-growing edtech startup suddenly become so insanely controversial? It's wild, right? On one hand, you've got this company with a valuation that's just skyrocketing. And on the other hand, social media and app stores are absolutely flooded with people calling it a straight-up scam. It's a huge paradox. How does a startup with such phenomenal growth suddenly find itself in the middle of such a massive storm? Well, the answer actually lies in some pretty mind-blowing numbers.
Get this, 15 crore downloads. That's 150 million. And even more staggering, 50 lakh paying subscribers. Now, in a country like India, where people are notoriously hesitant to pay for online content, getting 50 lakh people to pull out their wallets every single month, that's massive. It tells us that people are definitely finding some real value in their product. And honestly, that's exactly the kind of massive scale that hooked global investors in the first place.
But behind the scenes, the reality is a whole different story. The internet is literally swamped with thousands of complaints. People are saying, hey, I deleted the app, but money is still getting deducted from my bank account. Things actually got so intense that in May 2025, an anonymous complaint was filed all the way up to the Reserve Bank of India. So, how did we get from massive success to massive backlash? To really understand that, we need to rewind a bit.
Part 1. The Rise of Seekho. Let's look at where this company actually came from.
Meet Rohit, Kirti, and Yash, 3 IIT Kanpur alumni. While working at Kuku FM, they noticed a really interesting pattern. When TikTok was banned in India back in 2020, it created this massive void in the short video space. Sure, tons of new apps popped up, but they were all just focusing on mindless entertainment and time pass. These 3 realized something huge. People in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities actually needed practical, skill-based content in their own regional languages. And boom, that idea launched Seekho in 2020. And by 2021, they hit their first real monetization with a 199 rupees subscription model.
Okay, let's dive into Part 2, Explosive Growth and Funding.
By August 2025, after raising over $42 million, Seekho's valuation hit an astronomical 10,540 crores. And this wasn't just pocket change from small investors. We're talking about heavyweights like Lightspeed Venture Partners and Bessemer Venture Partners, the exact same folks who backed giants like Snapchat and LinkedIn. They went all in on Seekho. Now, why did these massive investors pour so much money into it? Well, just look at these numbers. In the financial year 2024, their revenue was just 1.5 crore rupees. Fast forward to FY25, and it's skyrocketed to 141 crore rupees. That is a 12x jump in a single year. This data proves, without a doubt, that Tier 2 and Tier 3 India is absolutely willing to pay for organized, curated knowledge. But wait, what was the real cost of this whirlwind growth? Here's the catch. To make that 141 crores, Seekho spent a whopping 134 crores purely on marketing. Let that sink in. They were spending almost everything they made just to aggressively acquire new users. It's a huge burn rate. But investors, they were totally ignoring the losses because the user base was just growing so incredibly fast. Moving on to Part 3, Inside the Creator Model. What are people actually paying for here? First off, we've got to set our expectations straight. Seekho isn't some magic platform guaranteeing you a job, and it's definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's essentially a digital library. It gives you short, practical videos on topics like YouTube growth, the stock market, speaking English, and even government schemes, all in your local language. You're basically paying for access to organized knowledge.
And the content? It's not just made by any random person on the internet. Unlike YouTube, Seekho uses a closed, invite-only showrunner system. Creators actually have to pitch a pilot episode. If the pilot is successful, only then does it become a full show. It's honestly a lot like Netflix's quality curation. So what Seekho is really charging for is that structure and that high level of curation, not just random user-generated videos.
Now, what's really interesting is this next part, Part 4, the 1 rupee controversy. This is where the entire public backlash starts. The app offers users a 3-day trial for just 1 rupee. So the user pays the 1 rupee. Sounds like a steal, right? But here's the massive catch in the user interface. When paying that single rupee, the user silently and often unknowingly approves a background autopay mandate. Once those 3 days are up, Bam! 199 rupees is automatically deducted every single month without any new alerts or permissions. Part 5. Understanding UPI Autopay. Let's break down how this actually works technically.
It is absolutely crucial to understand this. A UPI autopay mandate basically means you're giving your bank permission to automatically deduct a fixed amount, like 199 rupees on a fixed date every month, and send it to the company. The most important thing to grasp here is that this permission is locked in between your bank and your UPI app, like PhonePay or Google Pay.
And this right here is the root cause of all those scam allegations. When users decide they don't want to use Seekho anymore, they just delete the app from their phone. They think, app deleted, subscription canceled, right? No way. Since the billing control actually lives inside your bank's UPI app, not the Seekho app, the money just keeps getting deducted even after Seekho is long gone from your phone.
So if you're stuck in this loop and want out, here's exactly what you need to do. Open up your UPI app, scroll down to Manage Payments, and find the Autopay section. There, you'll see the active mandate for Seekho, or any other app doing this. Select it, enter your UPI PIN, and manually delete that mandate. That's the only real way to stop the charges. Consider this your digital literacy PSA for the day. Finally, Part 6. Scam or genuine success. Let's weigh the evidence.
When we look at this objectively, the truth really lies somewhere in the middle. On one hand, the founders had a fantastic vision. They spotted a huge gap for high-quality practical learning in regional languages for Tier 2 and Tier 3 India. If 50 lakh people are paying, the product clearly has real value. But on the flip side, their 1 rupee trial mechanic and confusing UI rely heavily on aggressive subscription tactics. Their marketing strategy is basically outpacing the digital literacy of their own users, capitalizing on the fact that a lot of folks just don't understand how auto debits work.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. This isn't just about Seekho. Other platforms like Kuku FM and Stage use very similar models. So, is this just a flawed business practice, or is this a massive wake-up call for digital literacy in India? Should we demand way more transparency from these companies, or is it on us, the users, to really understand what we're approving online? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.